How about now? Down mix. This should all be correct. Yeah.
That means there's been no sound probably this entire time.
This entire time there has been no sound.
There we go.
Okay.
But if there's been no sound this entire time, we need to start everything over again.
All right, starting over. What's going on, everybody? We are the Cinefanatics, and we're just gonna skip straight to this because, hi, I'm Robert Adams. That's Chris Adams. We're now doing shows on podcasts that you can listen to on anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Okay, chill. Hold on. No, we don't just run over that one.
Okay. We got new microphones, so if there's any audio issues, make sure to let us know because we got new microphones.
Why are you shouting?
I don't know.
The microphone's right in front of your face.
Well, now that I know that people can actually freaking hear us, I'm like,
gosh.
oh, hey, cool.
Okay.
We didn't have any like whiskey or anything to drink tonight, so
Nope, So I made the announcement earlier, if you missed it, and you did because there was no audio apparently, that we're on podcasts, which makes no damn sense now.
I don't know how this one's going to go on a podcast anymore.
I'm going to have to actually do some editing, which means it's not going to be out probably tomorrow. I'm going to have to cut that whole first part out.
Yeah.
Which you'll hear all this part on podcast now. And that just makes it fun. That's right. If you guys are tuning in for the first time, this is the tagline. My name is Chris Adams.
I'm Robert Adams.
We're doing this part over again because...
I feel like we did this already.
Yeah, because we are now putting this on podcast, and we need to make sure that we have audio working and everything too. So those of you who are watching live in the chat, if, again, we have audio issues, please let us know because that's going to help us out a whole lot. Podcasts, though. We are up on podcasts. This show is up on podcasts. What you want to do is head over to Spotify, Anchor. Don't cough into the microphone. Thank you. And Apple Podcasts. If you're on Apple, give us that rate and review over there. Right now it's probably 1 star because this didn't work out so well in this whole beginning of this episode. Kind of messy, but hey, you know
After
what?
this one's going to drop down to half a star.
Half a star. You know what? Hey, it's new stuff. Anyway, yeah, drop a 5-star, drop a review over there.
But at least there was no echo.
Sure, but here's the problem is now we missed that beautiful, wonderful King George III impression I did at the very beginning.
Oh, that was so good, too.
Yeah, because you just wanted to rush right into it. You didn't want to give it the proper intro again.
Yeah, well.
Oh, well. Anyway, we'll probably have to put time codes on this video as to no sound and sound.
Yeah, sound starts here.
Oh, so much work because you didn't do this properly the first time.
Yeah. So, what have you been up to this past week? You're like, no, we're not doing this again.
Yeah,
you've been working on podcasts.
I did nothing. You cleaned up around here. Moving on.
I did a bunch of cleaning and caught up on some work and stuff, and that was about it.
Yeah, I spent the entire weekend trying to get all of our episodes of the podcast up, which was a pain, but at least I didn't wait till episode 100 to do that. Yeah,
so also going back real quick, if you would like to join our Patreon, there's a Patreon address up there above my head. It's www.patreon.com/Cinefanatics. Hop on whichever tier you feel appropriate at this point. Also above my brother's head is the address for our Streamlabs, www. I don't know why I'm saying
Streamlabs.com/Cinefanatics. If you're listening to this on audio, which again is available now, I'm just like throwing that out there as much as possible. If you're listening to on audio, though, you can actually still enter a Streamlabs even when we're not live, and we'll probably actually get to it the next show. So go ahead and drop something in there, and it'll be nice and swell, or whatever.
Did you say swell?
I said swell. Right now, we do have a super chat just to start the show off from our good friend MovieFanobi here. Said, older Adams V himself in health recovery. Tonight, we stop the rivalry until he's healthy.
Yeah, I wasn't feeling too well last night.
No.
Just, I've been eating a lot of crap lately, and it really was messing with my stomach last night. So, yeah. I'm fine now. We're
not fine, though.
I ate some healthy food, and why are we not fine?
There's no audio.
Again? Yeah, no, it's working on mine.
Why am I not getting it?
I don't know. Yeah.
Okay.
Audio seems to be working. It's just his computer.
Oh. Never mind.
Anyways, we're still working. We're still good. Everything's just...
There it is.
Yeah,
Okay.
so in the future...
This is going to be a shorter show tonight just because we need to...
In the future, I'm going to have... I'm actually probably going to maybe try to build something that like sits like over here off to the side where you could potentially see it on camera, maybe, possibly, I don't know. And it's going to be a little box, like one of those in case of emergency break glass, and it'll have like a little ball of something.
Yeah.
So whenever this just goes off the rails, we're like, yep, need the glass tonight.
All right, so you have joined the tagline. We are the Cinefanatics, like we said earlier. My name is Chris Adams. He's Robert Adams, and we are going to move into, I guess, we usually do like catch up on what movies we watched this last week, but one of the ones we did is actually kind of our main topic, so we kind of want to wait on that.
We'll talk about that one later. Otherwise, the only other major movie I watched this week was Scoob.
I don't know if I watched anything else.
So Scoob was kind of cute. There was something at the very beginning of it that I thought was fantastic.
Yeah.
That if you're a fan of the Where Are You Scooby-Doo cartoon, it's amazing. You'll absolutely love it. But other than that, it was okay. I mean, it kind of diverted away from like what typically they do in Scooby-Doo cartoons a little. Mm-hmm. It's like, here's all the Scooby-Doo characters, and let's go off on this whole other adventure thing. So it was kind of cute, but I don't know. If they do a sequel, I'm kind of eager to see how they could like continue build upon that.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of room. I still haven't watched it myself, but I think there's a lot of room. It looks like for them to build like a Hanna-Barbera cinematic universe, which I didn't know I wanted.
Yes, there actually is.
I did not know I wanted that, but now I feel like I do want that.
So I know, like when watching the trailer, we were kind of guessing that, seeing how that had like Blue Falcon and Dynamite and Dick Dastardly in there.
Oh, watch out.
Yeah.
Can't say Dastardly.
Mr. Richard Dastardly.
Richard Dastardly.
But there actually is some other things that is in this movie that kind of helps support that idea that might actually work on building this universe. Yeah. So kind of cool. I mean, I did like it for that. So it's definitely worth checking out, especially if you have kids, which I don't. So I checked it out anyways. Yeah, we still have sound.
Okay.
This is like the every 5 minutes we gotta check to make sure everyone can still hear us.
I just don't trust this because I just don't trust it.
Yeah.
If you're watching live, drop a chat in there. Say something in the chat. We wanna hang out with you. We wanna talk with you. So
let us know you're here.
We're gonna be rushing through some of these news stories real quick too because we wanna.
We were supposed to be done with them already.
At this point we should have been done with them, but hey, you know what? Here we are. We are a little bit late on this show, on this episode, so. That is the way it is.
So again, going into the fact that we got new microphones set up because of that accursed echo that I was getting. If you're familiar with our earlier shows, I like the fact that I could go back and say that though. Like if you're familiar with our previous shows,
we've had 18 episodes
previously on Cinefanatics. We've had a lot of like echo issues with using two of the exact same USB microphones on here going to the same computer, and the computer's all confused, and it was causing my microphone to echo like every 10 to 15 minutes,
which causes you to have to unplug it and replug it back in order to do the quick simple fix.
So the past couple of weeks, if you've noticed, I've been sitting here like almost like clockwork because I've been sitting here watching the time, which I'm not doing right now, but for the most part I've been like unplugging and replugging the microphone like every 10 minutes, and that was kind of annoying. Now I don't have to worry about it. I have a whole new set of things to worry about, like, do we actually have sound?
Right. Well, I think we still do, but hey, you know, I'm just gonna trust it, and I'm not gonna check again.
Yeah.
We're just gonna trust it, because otherwise I'm gonna be in a bad mood the rest of this way if I check it and there's no sound. Just let me have my dream. Let me have my dream.
Everyone should start dropping in the chat like hashtag I can't believe he said that when there's like nothing coming out of our mouths.
Right. So at this point, we'll run through real quick. We got a little bit of movie news that we're gonna hit. Just a couple quick, funny little stories apparently that are out there. Then we're gonna hit that Hamilton review that you saw. Then we're gonna move on to some Schmoedown talk. There's a little bit of Schmoedown to talk about. For those of you unfamiliar with the Schmoedown, I'll tell you right now, it is movie trivia in the style of professional wrestling. If you have ever watched professional wrestling, you know there are factions, there's good guys, there's bad guys, there's rivalries, there's fun, excitement, adventure, all sorts of crazy nonsense that happens. But this time it's based around an actual movie trivia competition. It's a lot of fun to watch. It's on the Schmoedown Entertainment Network. You need to check it out if you haven't seen it. I'm doing that right off the top, so by the time we get there, we can just roll right into it.
We're doing that at the top while we know the audio is still working.
I hope so. Anyway, this is going to be the most fun episode to listen to on podcast.
Oh, most definitely.
We're on podcast now.
Exactly.
Anyway.
So movie news. Again, trying to go through this. Apparently, they're gonna turn I think it was 160 Walmarts into a drive-in movie theater. I guess their parking lot. I'm pretty sure we're not actually driving into a Walmart, even though that would probably save my poor eyes a lot of views of butt cracks when people are bent over. If you're a big fan of the People of Walmart website, yeah, that's a very interesting site right there.
That's very offensive.
Well, I mean, don't be on that website. It's real simple to fix.
Yeah, so this is fascinating. I mean, who would have thought in 2020 that we would be expecting Walmarts to be our saving grace for movie theaters at this point? We're just driving our cars up to the parking lot and watching on their big flat screen TVs that they're gonna roll out into the parking lot. I'm imagining this right now, and it makes no sense.
I wonder if they're gonna edit the movies like they do their CDs. Do they still sell CDs? Actually, I haven't been to a Walmart in a while.
I think they do, but I don't really know. I went to a Walmart the other day, and I wasn't happy about being there.
Oh, so since we're on podcast, we need to take a break real quick and give a shout out to our first podcast sponsor. It is Walmart. Oops. Sorry about that, Walmart. Anyways, moving on.
We'll try again next week. Walmart, where you want to go and get all of your drugs in the alley behind it.
Wait, what? Wait, that's where you get them at? Didn't know.
I'm sorry. Did I say the alley behind the Walmart? I meant right in the middle of the men's clothing section. Ain't nobody hiding that.
So here's the thing. I know drive-in movie theaters kind of went out of fashion, much like Walmart's clothing, and
It's not out of fashion.
This is good. This is gonna be like nothing but Walmart
jokes. It's not out of
jokes.
fashion. You just haven't hit the right parts of America.
Oh. So a lot of drive-in movie theaters, they no longer exist, but they're seemingly coming back, much like bell-bottom pants. But I know, specifically here in the Austin area, we had one drive-in movie theater that a week ago or so burned down. I'm like, really, guys? Y'all burned down? I think they're saying, I don't know if it was an accident or if it was direct arson, but I was like, we have one hope for being able to watch movies in a movie theater, and you burn it down. Good job.
Yeah, what does that even look like? Is that are we looking at, not to be political, are we looking at oh, I don't want to wear my mask and I don't want to go to a drive-in, I want to go to a real theater?
Yeah.
Is that what we're looking at this point? Because that's just ridiculous.
Burn down the drive-in theaters. They have to open the real movie theaters. Nope, they can stick them in a Walmart parking lot. Apparently.
Open my Cinemark.
Alamo Drafthouse.
Drive-in's not the best seat in town.
Yeah, whatever. The Alamo Drafthouse is gonna start sponsoring these in the Walmart parking lot here, and hey, we're gonna bring beer to your car. That's not a good idea.
Fantastic Fest in a Walmart parking lot.
Yeah. Oh. That is kind of scary, actually.
That's frightening.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, fits the mood, actually.
Nailed it.
So I'm not sure how well this is gonna go off, but apparently this isn't starting for a little while yet. I'm guessing they're just expecting that this whole pandemic is still going to be going on for a while. So
this is gonna be one of those things though, where they hit enter on okay and start it, and the pandemic's over. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we specifically waited for a minute just to see, and
waited too long.
Looks like Christopher Nolan won, and his movie's coming out into the actual theaters at this point.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, if they're able to pull it off and it's actually interesting and doesn't feel like anything else that Walmart does, then
stop shaking the table.
Would you hush and let me resituate myself? Anyway, see, you threw me off.
We need a stronger table. That's what I'm trying to get at.
No, what you need to do is you need to stop calling it out and let me finish my thought.
What's up, AJ Lancaster?
AJ's here. Hey, what's up, AJ?
Hey, AJ, how do we sound? We sound good? Just need to check in with everyone to make sure we have sound still.
Yeah. Hey, Tyler's here also. Look, people are here now. All right.
Woohoo!
Which, this doesn't really necessarily work for our audio listeners because they can't see our chat. But hey, you know what? If you're listening on audio, then you know this is a YouTube show primarily, and we're going to be referencing people in the chat. For those of you who are in the chat who are just joining us, whatever thought I was thinking of and saying earlier is just now dead and gone, but that's because I want to mention real quick that we are now on podcast. So if you can go over to like Apple Podcasts, Cinefanatics, and just drop a little rate and review over there, or whatever you do on any of the other podcasts. I don't know if there's like rates and reviews on all the other different random podcast things out there, but hey, you know, it is what it is. So yeah, we're available on audio. You can check us out there if you want to go back and re-listen to the show later and see whatever editing I did to the beginning of this, because apparently it messed up before. Yeah,
it says a little low. I was thinking that was going to happen, so where do I go to fix that? I think I know where to fix that at.
Well, you better hurry up because I'm not editing this entire thing for audio.
Yeah, I know.
For those of you who are listening on audio, you might want to be turned up, and then you're probably going to want to turn down here in a second because I think he's going to turn me up. So turn down for what? Turn down because I'm about to be turned up.
So input. So we've got that.
This is a fun show. We're hitting all the right feet. All the right feet.
All the right feet.
We're getting. That's a mixture of we're hitting all the right notes or whatever, and getting started on the right foot. So we're hitting all the right feet.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Like, there's not really like individual mic volume audio control.
Me turn up the gain.
I mean, yeah, I could probably turn up the gain just a little.
The gain, in this case, the gain is probably probably the volume. So I'm sitting here talking, and maybe this is turning me up. People who are watching us live can let us know if I sound like I am getting louder, because I'm not really changing the volume of my own voice. This is a horrible radio show, and I don't care because, hey, you know what? This is what you're getting right now, but when we hit episode 100, we should be flying smooth like something that's really, really smooth. I'm still talking. Somebody please stop me.
Yeah.
None of this has anything to do with movies right now because I don't know. That's no longer what this show's about. We're no longer about movies. We're about technical difficulties and making sure our audio is going to work. Should have done that before the show started, but hey, you know, here we are.
I do like that the episode where we start talking about doing a podcast is the one that we have like the most massive audio issues ever.
It's just because I happened to get everything up on podcast while you were like, hey, time for new microphones.
Yeah. Tyler's like, all the gain.
All the gains. Audio gains.
You could also probably be just a little bit closer to your microphone.
No, because then it's in my mouth.
Yeah, I'm damn near making out with mine. I mean,
there's literally 2 inches between my face and the microphone. How much closer do you want me to be?
It's a little more than 2 inches there.
Okay, it's 2.5. Excuse me.
Okay, you would know.
I can hear us coming through on your headphones.
Yeah. So I've turned up the volume. Hopefully that works a little bit more. There's not really individual.
Can we unplug the headphones? It's bugging me. I can hear our echo. Pop. There you go.
Yeah, probably just a weird popping sound, but whatever.
Anyway.
Okay, hopefully that works. Thank y'all for your audio input.
If not, we'll get him to start doing this more than half an hour before the show starts.
Yes.
I'm going to pay for that one later. Anyway. Yep,
okay.
I just bumped the table again. That's okay. Anyway.
So they're turning Walmart parking lots into drive-in movie theaters. That's kind of weird. I mean, that topic went off the rails much like a Walmart does. So, I mean, that made sense. It was fitting.
It's like a drive-in at a Walmart's probably going to go off the rails.
Drive-in at Walmart, yeah.
Before we move on to any of these other lighthearted ones, you want to hit that low note one real quick?
Yeah. And this one I'm probably going to keep short for reasons I'll get into in a second. What was it? Was it announced yesterday that Ennio Morricone, one of the most famous composers ever, has passed away? the reason I'm saying I'm keeping this one short is while I'm a fan of his work that I am aware of, I'm not a huge follower of his work.
Most of his stuff has been pretty much Western, essentially Western.
He's done some other things outside of Western as well, but the one that's probably I would say, at least personally how I know it, and I believe how you know it, is his theme song to The Good, Bad, and the Ugly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was a giant disrespect to his work.
Yeah, well, I mean, we don't play instruments. We barely can talk into microphones at this point. So, it's really sad to hear that he passed away, but huge legacy left behind. Because I will say he's easily one of the top composers. Again, I don't follow him.
Right.
But I recognize the body of work.
Yeah, his name was one that popped up and said he passed away, and I was like, whoa, hold up, that's a big name that just popped up there.
Yeah,
that's let's hold on and let's pay some respects for that one, which is why we are bringing him up on the show here. It's just he's leaving behind an incredible legacy. He is one of the top composers that were working in movies, so he is definitely somebody that deserves some respect. Go back and kind of check out his library of work, because he's got a pretty full body of work out there.
Yeah. In fact, I'm kind of wanting just to listen in. So those of y'all in the chat, those of y'all watching live, if you have any suggestions for any really good scores that he's done other than Good, Bad, and the Ugly, drop those in the chat so we can find something, or so anyone else who might not be completely familiar with his work but at least know of him, we can check out, because I'm eager to broaden my horizon.
Yeah.
Broaden my horizon. I don't know the proper phrase of that. This is a weird night. Anyway, so moving on from that one.
For those of you listening to the podcast that we're now on, I was shaking my head in disbelief that anything that's going on right now is happening.
We're surviving. We're gonna make it. So they announced, was it last week or so, that Jason Momoa has signed on to play a live-action version of Frosty the Snowman.
Happy birthday, my man.
My snowman.
My snowman.
Happy birthday, my snowman.
You know, my favorite thing about this, before we even really dive into it, is that I cannot wait. Is this live action? This is a live action Frosty the Snowman. So I can't wait to see a live action Frosty the Snowman chugging a big old beer and throwing axes.
Was it Carl Drago?
Carl?
What's his name? Carl.
I don't think there's an R in there.
Carl
Drago.
Okay, I admit it. I don't watch Game of Thrones.
Carl, are you playing that stupid throne game again, Carl? Carl.
Yeah. So
Carl, is your lady into dragons?
let's just say Aquaman.
No more. Yeah, Aquaman.
He's gonna be the frozen Aquaman.
Aha.
Hopefully he's not like the one from Frozen that just wants to go lay out on a beach.
Yeah.
Because he will be Aquaman again after
How
that.
how does this movie look? Here's the thing. This movie pops up and is saying Jason Momoa is going to be Frosty the Snowman, and my first thought is, yeah, I'll see that.
We're about to get a bunch of Frosty the Snowman thirst tweets. That's what we're gonna get.
Can't wait for that ice cube to melt in my mouth.
That's so wrong.
So
this Christmas, time to deck your halls.
Fa la 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 ooh la la.
It got a lot more to jingle than just some bells.
Just so we're clear, we're in Texas, so weed is not a thing we can do here.
We just have good old-fashioned humor.
We're just completely thrown off right now with how this show has gone. That this is the state of our mind. No, I digress. So I go back. Look, what does this movie look like? How do we see this movie working? Because
I think we summed it up with thirst tweets.
Yeah, maybe. Anyway, I'm picturing the old cartoon that we all know and cherish and love from the holidays, and I'm picturing everything's live action. You know, we got Is Hank Azaria playing that magician? Messy. Like that's perfect casting there. But I don't know if we're expecting perfect casting out of this thing if Frosty the Snowman's going to be Jason Momoa.
They could get
I'm into it, but man, it's weird.
I'm wondering if this is going to be like later on down the line, like after the original cartoon and after whatever that weird Frosty Returns cartoon
like
that came
sequel?
out like 30 years later.
With like a Dumbo effect here or something.
Well, they came up with the original Frosty was like back in like late 60s, early 70s, something like that. And then in the 80s, like late 80s, someone made like a Frosty Returns, so they made a sequel to it.
Why?
I don't know. He needed to return.
Nobody asked for it. Well, I think he said. I think the song goes that he'll be back someday. So
Well, that was the someday that they brought it back.
that explains why there is a sequel.
And now they're going to bring it back again. And I'm wondering if this is going to be like an even like later sequel.
What if? And hear me out on this. The cartoon of old, the Frosty the Snowman, then existed within the present time of that cartoon. So what again was that? That was again the 70s or early 80s or something like that.
The original cartoon?
Yeah, the Happy Birthday.
Yeah, that was like 60s.
60s? Was it really?
Like late 60s, early 70s maybe.
Wow. Well, what? Yeah. So what if that existed then, but
I don't know.
now
Garth's not in our chat to tell us.
Oh yeah. Oh well. But what if Frosty the Snowman comes back and he hasn't been around for a while, and he comes back in the year I don't know 2020.
What are y'all wearing face masks for?
Happy birthday! What in the? Why does Jason Momoa sound super redneck just now?
I don't know. It's because we're doing this voice.
Well, he's looking around though, and he's like, "Where is everybody? Where's all the kids that he used to play with? They're all now adults, and they have kids, and life has just gotten to them, and they used to love magic, and they used to love playing out in the snow, but now they're facing all sorts of like mental health issues and financial issues. Some of them are divorced, and Frosty's out here going happy birthday, and they're like, shut up, Frosty.
This just got sad and depressing.
Nobody cares anymore. You frozen man of you're not even real. Your hat is what gives you life. Why?
Because there must have been some magic in that old silk hat they found.
I
don't care if there's magic in the old silk hat. I want to know if there's like the COVID-19 like the cure for it in there.
We just found the excuse as to why Jason Momoa's Frosty is chugging beer and throwing axes.
My man, my snowman.
As of right now, you can tell that the Cinefanatics are currently not taking this movie too seriously.
I don't know if anyone would take this movie seriously.
Yeah, I don't take it seriously. Here's the thing: I want to see it for some reason. That is what we call stunt casting. Hey, Frosty's played by Jason Momoa. Okay, all right. Fine. I'll pay a movie ticket. I'll go see it. You got me. Don't even need a trailer. I'm there.
So what you're saying is you're going to send out a thirst tweet also.
I mean, have you seen Jason Momoa?
I saw him in that Super Bowl commercial where he's ripping off his arms and his chest and stuff, and they might do that.
I really like low-key. I would love to go throw axes with him. I'm not good at throwing axes. I've done it a few times.
But who cares? You're with Jason Momoa throwing axes.
Yeah.
Being accurate is not the point of that hangout.
Anyway, we should move on from this topic because it's silly.
Yeah, just a little.
That's goofy.
So over this weekend, apparently we were celebrating the 4th of July. For those of you who don't know what the 4th of July is,
It's the fourth day in the month of July.
Is our Independence Day.
Oh, it's that too.
And seemingly enough, someone got the smart idea to, let's release that Hamilton musical on Disney Plus the weekend of 4th of July. Like, that is like the greatest planning ever.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, since we missed out on this intro to begin the video with, I did it when we did not have sound. I'm going to do it now when we do have sound. This is our review of the musical Hamilton. Welcome to the tagline. And right now we would ask that, normally we would ask that you put away your cell phones, but here's the thing, it's your cell phone and we're not going to tell you what to do with that phone because it makes no difference either way to us. We just ask that you do not record this this video, this live stream that we're doing, because that would be wrong and improper. We're trying to monetize it.
Since YouTube's recording it anyways.
Since YouTube is recording it anyway, please send in your Streamlabs. My name is King George III, and welcome to our Hamilton review. Someone please let me know how my British accent was there, or if I was just sounding more so like Jonathan Groff's King George than...
That actually sounded pretty good.
Da, 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 da.
There you go.
Da, 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 yeah.
That's what I say. It needs to end with da 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 da.
I'm not going to spit.
Yeah. Anyways.
So this is our Hamilton review. We're gonna go ahead and jump into this, I guess, at this point.
Now the
You
thing
seem
is,
so excited about this.
the thing is like you've listened to this music before.
Yeah. So if we're gonna do that, I'm gonna set up. Well, I'll set up my end of this. A couple years ago, I did actually listen to the album all the way through. Very much enjoyed the music from it. So that has been my first interaction with Hamilton. I did not watch the show because it was like $500+ and nowhere near Austin. So it was kind of almost near impossible for me to see it.
Nowhere near Austin is the major kicker on that one.
Well, even if it was here, I didn't have $500 to go see
If it came here, it wouldn't be $500.
Oh, no, it was. It was very expensive when it came here.
Oh, it did come here.
Oh, yeah. It did come here later.
Oh.
Anyway, my first experience with it was just listening to the album on Spotify, and I found myself very much enjoying the music. It was very catchy. Every single song, I was like, you know, I'm pretty well basically following the story of what's happening here. I know, you know, we're talking about historical stuff, but it's one of those things where, you know, there's no visuals, you're just listening to the audio. And I was doing it at work at my job at that time, so I was working on other stuff while I was listening to it. So I'm kind of torn between doing that and listening at the same time, but from what I was hearing, I was very much enjoying it.
I'll be right back. I'm still listening, y'all.
Professional.
I'm thirsty.
You have a full cup of water over here. Anyway.
That's not what I'm thirsty for.
Anyway, so here's the great thing about it is, for those of us who have not gotten a chance to see the show, Disney Plus just decided to up and release it this past weekend, for just pretty much everybody who's subscribed to Disney. Apparently, I heard that if you sign up for their free trial, you don't actually get to see it. You actually have to pay.
Oh, that's messed up.
It's not messed up. It's good business.
Yeah.
Yeah, you actually have to pay for a Disney Plus subscription in order to see it. So, because you know what's going to happen is a lot of people are just going to sign up real quick just to watch Hamilton and be like, cool, peacing out.
Here's the thing.
It's like, no, that's not what you're going to do.
I'm willing to bet that's going to happen when the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League hits
100%.
HBO Max too.
100%. If HBO is smart, they will do it to where you can only watch it if you're signed up. Anyway, so anyway, the great thing about this is that those of us who have not seen Hamilton now have the opportunity to do so because we have Disney Plus subscriptions.
And so I did.
And so he did, and I got to watch the show for the first time. I think what's interesting to note, though, is that this was actually scheduled for a theatrical run in October next year.
Yeah.
So October 2021 is when we were supposed to actually have the theatrical release of this movie.
So basically what you're trying to say is Hamilton traded places with Fast and Furious 9.
No, because...
Ish.
No?
Fast and Furious 9 got pushed to next year is what I'm trying to say.
April.
And Hamilton, yeah, that's why I'm saying ish. That's the definition of ish.
More so got traded with In the Heights if you really want to be specific about it.
Yeah, but I'm trying to set up a joke, so...
Oh.
So Hamilton got traded with
Set it up.
Fast and Furious 9-ish. And so, therefore, instead of getting Fast and Furious 9 this year, we got Hamilton instead. Should have stuck with Fast and Furious 9.
I'm waiting for the punchline.
That was it.
That was it?
Yes.
Oh my god.
Well, not so much as a joke as much as it was like a segue or a hint, like a little hint as to where my opinion of this is going to go.
Yeah, so if you want to do the bad before the good, you want to go ahead and give your thoughts and opinions on Hamilton, and then I will cheer everybody up on the back end?
Sure, we can do that. I was not a fan. I'm the one and the only person out there who's probably not a fan of this. Now, that being said, I do have to preface the fact that I absolutely love musicals.
Clearly not.
Yeah, I guess. No, you don't. You don't like Hamilton. You don't like musicals. No, I like musicals.
You're just not American.
Yeah, I guess so.
America.
Well, if you're gonna say that, I was about to kind of like help support my opinion in the fact that like I just recently saw Fiddler on the Roof. Absolutely loved it. But also not an American musical, basically. So yeah, thanks. I love Fiddler on the Roof, Gone with the Wind, all of those fantastic movies. I forgot. We're not on like StreamYard or whatever, so I can't click comments to highlight them.
Oh yeah, if we were, I would have taken you out of the stream when you made that stupid joke.
Yeah, so sorry is saying explain yourself, Robert, and just saying you're wrong. Yeah, no, I know. I understand I'm in the minority with this opinion, and I completely I get it. I understand what this musical was about. It was very well done. It's phenomenal that they took basically American history, and even like if you look at the stage production of it, the stage itself, other than the gigantic Lazy Susan in the middle of the stage is nothing spectacular except for that giant Lazy Susan. That was cool. That was a great addition to this.
There's actually some fun hints and nods into the set design. If you go back, I've watched a couple of videos now since then. Mm-hmm. One of them explaining that the actual set design is made up of like there's pieces to it that harken back to those days. Like the wood is made of like ships or whatever that were around during that time.
That's cool.
There was a lot of like nods to like people who came in from the sea during that time who came into America with like ropes and stuff hanging everywhere and all that kind of stuff. So
here's the thing, like I like history. I like reading about history, learning about history. I like that. I'm familiar with how the creation of this country. How this country was created for proper grammar people out there. You know I was about to say a different word. I don't want to say that word on this channel.
Yeah.
But
not this year.
Yeah, not right now. It's a bad time for that word.
Yeah. It's a really bad time to be a... Never mind.
Yeah, exactly. That one.
A little Jojo Rabbit reference for you guys?
Yep. But I understand the production of it, of how it was made, put together. Completely, I absolutely love that.
Yeah.
Like, everything put into how this musical exists is phenomenal.
Just how long it took Lin-Manuel Miranda to write the music and actually put it all together.
The putting the music together was phenomenal. Now, I say that, but that's slightly also kind of like a drawback. One of my drawbacks to it is it was an opera, which I'm okay with it being straight operas. There was no real talking at all, except for
lines here and
some
there.
spoken word rap type of things happen, but for the most part, everything was told within music. Yeah. If you're not able to follow the lyrics and keep up, and especially if you don't know the history to begin with, if you can't follow the lyrics, you can't keep up, you are completely lost. If you're someone like me that has really bad focusing issues...
I definitely disagree, but okay.
Well, I mean, again, I know the history. I love musicals. I had a hard time, like, just keeping up with it. Even though I knew what was essentially going on, I was just kind of lost in the dialogue of the songs.
Yeah.
But again, I also have really bad focusing issues, like really bad. So part of that I would say is to blame. Otherwise, again, I liked it overall. I liked it for what it was. Just wasn't a big fan of the whole story, and
I'm wondering if your opinion on it would change with like two things. One of which I actually kind of want to do myself.
A repeat viewing?
Yeah, it's a repeat viewing, but a lot of people are saying that if you're not able to follow with the actual words, put on the subtitles. Put on the subtitles and just read along with it.
Or,
which is you're gonna have to read pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I was thinking is go actually see the show live.
So that one, yes. So I saw, for example, I saw Phantom of the Opera live.
Yeah.
And a lot of that, that was my first introduction to Phantom of the Opera, was seeing it live. And a lot of that is a lot of, like your old time Italian classical opera speak. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I went into this going, I'm afraid I'm going to be bored to death during this. Nope. Absolutely enjoyed it. Love Phantom of the Opera. The music was good. The story was good. I was able to follow along with the story. Absolutely perfect. Love it. And again, I'm saying this about the stage show, not the movie. The movie was okay. Had a couple of drawbacks to it, but
I feel like you and me are going to disagree on musicals a lot.
I feel like you and me are going to be in this conversation for the rest of our lives. But I agree. Maybe seeing the live stage show in the presence of the show would be a completely different experience. I was going to say that I believe one of the things that might help someone like me in my position, listen to the soundtrack first. Listen to it first. Listen to it a couple of times. Get used to it. And then when you watch the show, you're more into it because you know the music.
You've caught up on hearing it and hearing what's kind of going on without being distracted by any sights, and then put in the sights and you can follow it. So,
for example, I'm the type of person that if I go to a concert, I want to go to a concert of someone I know. Yeah. Like, I know I live in what's supposedly the live music capital of the world.
Not this year.
Yeah, except for right now. Yeah. They canceled ACL.
Yep.
Fantastic.
South by and ACL been canceled.
Was it Texas Rodeo was just canceled today too, or not Texas Rodeo? The Texas State Fair was canceled.
Oh, that's a bummer.
So
I get it, but it's a bummer.
So I don't like I don't like going to live music of like on the weekends just listening to any old band. Yeah. That's not me. I like my music that I like. I'm connected to the music that I connect to. And the same thing, like when I go to these like live music venues, most of the time like they have the volume and everything, the audio so far up, I can't hear what they're saying anyways. I just hear like a lot of the guitar and drum sounds. Yeah. So I'm just not a big fan of that. I want to go to a concert where I know pretty much all the songs that they're going to be singing. Yeah. Where I really do love the artist. So
you get the most out of it in that case.
Yeah, it might be the same with, say, Hamilton. I didn't listen to the soundtrack. I didn't know any of the songs. I went into this, and the only thing I knew of was a bunch of people were quoting the "I'm not gonna throw away my shot." Yeah, whatever. Hadn't even heard the song before, so yeah, no idea about the music. Went into it completely blind.
Yep. So here's the thing: is that a lot of people do that, but they come out of it going, "It lived up to the hype." So you are on the different end of the spectrum, and I liked what Saudi said here in the chat, talking about being able to follow along. Yeah. She said, as a non-American, not familiar with U.S. history, who saw Hamilton first in London without listening to the cast recording. She saw Hamilton first in London without listening to cast recording. Plus, with English not being her first language, she disagrees. Definitely understands where you're coming from, though, and that's the thing. I think for some people, their brains are a little bit slower than others. Mm-hmm. And
what are you trying to say?
There's
the point right there.
You're exactly got it. Nailed it.
I kind of like what you do with your mic too. I'm gonna fix mine.
Yeah, I like it being up so I don't have to hunch over because it's bad posture. Yeah, for those of you, it is going to take probably a repeat viewing in order to just catch stuff. Here's the thing, like
this has got to sound so bad on the audio.
Maybe I was able to catch a little bit more with what's going on. Just would you hurry up?
Yeah, WD-40 this thing. Okay,
there you go. You got it. Okay, this one's going to be even louder.
This is fine.
Okay. Yeah, so me being able to follow along and keep up with it, even I've listened to it, I've now watched it, and I've gone back and watched a couple clips later on of songs that I liked the most. And even I was like catching things after my first viewing of stuff from those songs that I didn't catch before. So that's going to lead me to actually wanting to do a full repeat viewing, probably with the subtitles on this time, just to see how much more I can catch with what's going on. From an opposite standpoint, which is the great thing about doing our review here now, is that we've already started with you. That is super loud, dude. Like, I already have a hard enough time trying to keep my train of thought going, and you're just throwing me off right now, pouring a drink.
I wasn't pouring a drink.
Anyway. So, yeah, we had you. You weren't as big a fan of it. You recognize the artistic value in it. Me, on the other hand, I'm an absolute fan of this musical. I think just everything about it was fascinating to me. Just one, it took U.S. history. It took history, which I know those who don't pay attention to history are doomed to repeat it, kind of a thing. I'm not a big history buff. I don't care that much about history.
Everyone, so if you didn't pay attention to history, you're doomed to repeat it. Who wasn't paying attention to their history class when they talked about the pandemics? Because shame on you.
a lot of people. Anyway, yeah, I always found just like sitting in history just kind of.
Yeah,
and maybe it's because our textbooks never really told these stories in an exciting way. They just wanted to, here's some information, and that's it.
By the way, read this footnote down here. There's more information.
Yeah, there's wars and founding fathers, and this happened, and these people died, and these people survived, and these states were formed, and then Louisiana got purchased somewhere. Whatever.
Tyler got it. That's what I thought it was.
Gross. Anyway, I'm not going to read that comment for the audio listeners. Just go watch the YouTube video.
Yeah, that's how you get them.
Yep. Got him. Anyway, if you tell them to watch the video, they're not going to leave a good rating on the Apple Podcasts.
Yeah.
Anyway, so for me, this was a very unique and interesting way to get me invested and interested in history. Take what happened in history, put it in a different format, just twist it around and do something very different with it. Whether you're doing a stage show like Hamilton or doing like a movie, say like that movie 1776, which was also a musical. A lot more interesting because I had to watch that while I was in school.
Yeah, you know who was in that?
Feeney.
Yeah, I think he was John Adams.
Yeah.
Mr. Feeney from Boy Meets World.
Yeah. Yeah, he was in it. It was a lot more interesting for me than, say, a normal history class, which is why I'm glad, like, in school, we had to watch it, because...
Mm-hmm. You wouldn't have watched it on your own.
I probably wouldn't have watched that movie on my own. Maybe now, you know, if I hear good things now and I'm trying to run a movie YouTube channel, I might check it out, but for the most part, it isn't just the normal everyday history stuff that gets me. It's do something interesting and different with it, and I'm hooked, and I'm learning. And I think that's one of the reasons why I think Hamilton should actually, at this point, how Disney Plus presented it, the actual like recording of the stage production, could actually be used in schools, and would actually be a very unique way of teaching history now, which I think would be fascinating. You know, for students of almost all ages, maybe not in elementary school, but definitely some adult material in there.
There was definitely some naughty words still said.
And some suggestive material for, maybe not for kids.
How do I say no?
How do I say no? Anyway, I loved it, though. I think one of the things that really grabbed me about this entire production is, one, the way it was shot. Normally if you have a stage production, you want the vantage point of the audience, in which case it's just the camera is set in one position and that's all you get. This one was specifically shot in a way to reproduce for, you know, an actual theatrical run. They were trying to essentially give you a new perspective on the show, which is why you had various close-ups, fast cuts in different places just to kind of push the emotion of certain scenes, and then how the camera was positioned, say like in the section where they're like reversing time or what have you. They moved it around really quickly just to kind of give you the intensity of that. close-ups on Aaron Burr's face whenever he feels betrayed or a sense of jealousy.
So basically what you're saying is they didn't throw away any shots. I will say, I didn't get to mention this, but one of my favorite parts of this movie was that they turned cabinet debates into rap battles. Like, okay, y'all need to bring Eminem in this.
Right.
I want to see B Rabbit take this back to 8 Mile and do a rap battle about how we should start listening to France and whatnot. And like,
and now
that would've been
presenting Marshall Mathers as Benjamin Franklin.
Everyone in 1776, just get up out the seat and raise your. I don't know. I'm not a rapper.
Really? It must be nice to have a podcast that exists without you making those stupid jokes.
Actually, I didn't mean for it to go that way, but
Must be nice. No, and so I use that as actually the segue into how I thought about the music too. I feel like the music is expertly written. Lin-Manuel Miranda as a songwriter and just in creation of the show is a freaking genius. So much so that like after I listened to the Hamilton album a few years ago, not even having seen the show, I was already down with pretty much anything his name was attached to. Love Moana. Moana is like one of my absolute favorite. And just pour the whole dang drink.
you can't hear it.
And then you don't have to keep pouring it.
That's what I'm gonna do.
Anyway, Moana is one of my favorite, probably like top 5 at least, animated movies.
Well, you're welcome.
And so stupid. And I'm eagerly awaiting In the Heights. I have like no knowledge of anything about In the Heights other than what I can just click and read real quick. And I'm sad that movie got pushed because I really want to see it just again because Lin-Manuel Miranda's name is attached to it, and pretty much anything his name's attached to now, I'm sold.
You're like, the trailer for In the Heights is watching Hamilton on Disney Plus,
Right? At this point, pretty much. That's how you do it. But the music. So a couple of my favorite songs from this was It Must Be Nice to have Washington on Your Side. I should say that's actually the name of the song, Washington on Your Side.
It must be nice.
Please stop. You're way off.
I just watched it once. I mean,
Oh gosh. Anyway, there's that one. Obviously you gotta mention My Shot, because that's pretty much the song of the show. That is the iconic piece from the musical. The Schuyler sisters, their introduction with the work, like that whole musical number was great. It had great usage of the turntable in that too. And just what was the other one? Oh, and then probably one of my favorites, the one that's so catchy, it's been stuck in my head, was the King George. Anytime King George,
whatever.
that almost sounded like our theme song to this video. To these streams. Yeah, stop. Enough.
No, I can sing that one.
No,
We have the rights to that one. Sort of.
Anyway, so King George III's music, like Jonathan Groff stole those scenes because he pops out with the crazy eyes, going, "You're gonna come back to me. You're gonna come back to me. I know it."
And I'll send the Armada to show you my love.
I'll send a fully armed battalion to remind you of my love. Like that's
fantastic writing right there.
The lyrics to that are so great. And what I love about this, and if you watch a couple other videos on it, it's really fascinating, is that the whole show obviously has a more hip hop flavor to it. It dives into the genres of rap, spoken word.
Hip hop.
I'm trying to make a point. Shut up. It dives into those genres, and then all of a sudden you go hard left into that British new wave pop. Rock, whatever. Reminds you of like the Beatles or something, like ooh blah dee, ooh, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
exactly. So you have that when you jump into King George's song, and it's like out of left field and just completely derails from where you were, which is exactly what was necessary for that scene. So I mean, that is the level of detail that you're looking at here, where they use music, they use this character just to completely like I don't know. It's just really fascinating the way Lin-Manuel Miranda kind of weaved it all together.
He basically was used as like a foil in between scenes just to kind of help break up like some of like again going back
completely comedic.
Yeah, going back to the fact that again this is based off of like history, so yeah. Even as adults, like me personally, I've gained more of a respect for history the older I've gotten. Like if I was to go back into high school now and take a history class, I probably would absolutely love it. But even still, just force feeding people like all these facts about history, even though if it's done in rap, could probably get kind of dull and monotonous. So that's thrown in there, like the stuff with King George was thrown in there just to kind of help break that up.
Yeah.
But I agree. I think that was done very well. And again, that's one of the things I really liked about it.
Yeah, and that kind of leads me into like the other part that I really really enjoy about it, and that's just the cast performances. The performances from the original cast that we got to see in this, everybody nails it perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's a lot of people out there who are saying like Lin-Manuel Miranda is actually his performance as Hamilton is actually the weakest part of the show, but the only reason they say that and when they say that is because the entire rest of the cast is just so elevated that even somebody who is doing very well and is great in his own right is actually less than the rest of the cast in terms of the level of performance.
Yeah. So if you're gonna jump into that, Daveed Diggs.
Daveed Diggs is Jefferson, and his Lafayette, both of them actually.
His Jefferson though, I loved his Jefferson.
That might actually be my favorite character in the entire show.
Yeah.
Daveed Diggs killed it as Jefferson. His performance is he completely just stole the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
I loved his interaction with, I believe it was with James Madison. I believe.
Yeah.
I believe. Was he playing Madison? I can't even remember now. Wow, just lost it. Madison or Adams?
No, I don't think he was playing Adams.
Oh man. We promise. We actually did watch Hamilton. Anyway.
Yeah, I can't remember who he's playing.
The interactions between those characters, especially during the Washington on your side, and then later on having Hamilton on your side, I thought was fantastic.
When they're trying to vote between, basically when they're trying to get Hamilton on their side instead of going with Aaron Burr.
That was right. It was James Madison.
Okay.
Anyway, though their performances together, I thought really worked well. I mean, they were both present in the rap battle also, but the other two, and you can kind of chime in on some of these too, is the other two highlights were Leslie Odom Jr. as Aaron Burr.
But almost anything Leslie Odom Jr. does,
he
like theatrically, when he does theater performances.
What other shows has he been in?
Oh crap, I can't remember.
I thought you were.
Way to call me out on that one.
That's not what I was. Shut up. I thought you were mentioning that because like he was in Rent or something.
Someone's getting a swirly later.
Whatever. No, but he is popular for doing other theatrical performances as well. Just his level of commitment to a lot of these roles.
If I remember correctly, he was the one. Oh crap!
We're the Cinefanatics, not the stage of fanatics.
I know, but I'm trying to recall a commercial. I can't remember if it was a Coca-Cola or
We're going to commercials
or a McDonald's commercial.
Advertise the Fanatics.
Oh, it was one of those two where he was sitting like on a stool and he was doing the. I think it was like I'm loving it, but he would turn it into a full-on song.
That'd be McDonald's.
Well, if it was McDonald's, that's what he was singing, definitely.
Anyway.
I can't remember if it was that or he was doing like Coca-Cola's jingle or whatever.
Sure.
One of those two, but that was where I knew of him first. And I mean, even just something as simple as a McDonald's or a Coca-Cola commercial, that guy has like that range, the voice that he had in that was fantastic.
He I mean, you look at the level of commitment he gives to the character of Burr, sir, and he
really,
you can see like, especially, and this again goes back to what I liked about doing the close-ups, is just the pain in his face as he's feeling betrayed and attacked essentially by Hamilton.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do you mean I don't stand for anything? Kind of stuff. And it's like, just you see the their friendship, and then you watch it fall apart by the end of it. And it's like, you can see he just really plays it to a T. Just the decline in his, I guess, mental stability in this case, when talking about Alexander Hamilton. The other one I wanted to bring up was Christopher Jackson.
George Washington. Yeah.
That was a commanding performance,
which makes sense.
It's absolutely vital to have for the role of George Washington. He
brought it.
How do I phrase it? He filled in the boots of Washington very nicely. He was a commanding performer.
Yeah.
Every time he was on stage, all eyes were on him. And I was completely fascinated with his performance as George Washington because of that.
He's probably one of the ones, like...
He's very likable.
Yeah. So, like, one of the things with this is there were, like, a lot of minority performers in this.
The majority of the cast is non-white.
Like, Black, Hispanic.
Yeah.
And including him.
Mm-hmm.
He was one of the few ones, though, that... Like, his performance alone, how he commanded the stage, his presence, you could picture, and it's not that I see a person who's a minority and I'm trying to picture a white guy. Not at all. You could picture George Washington essentially doing what he's doing, the way he sounds, the way he talks, his presence, the way he carries himself. You could picture, based off of what you've seen of George Washington, you could see George Washington in him.
Yeah.
And that's what was really great about his performance on that.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. Like, he absolutely was George Washington. What I really like, and I didn't even notice this until, again, I was watching like extra content on Hamilton, is there's a part towards the end, again, if you haven't seen or listened, you know, we are going into some of the spoilers of history here, or specifically of the show. Towards the end there, when they were singing that Eliza was going to tell Hamilton's story, that final song, and you see her talking about the strides that they have made in ending slavery.
Mm-hmm.
And it is well known that George Washington did own slaves. He did have slaves. But the way...
What do you find out what Thomas Jefferson did?
Same.
Ooh, a lot more than that.
Well, so in that scene specifically, though, you see her singing that, but the way the camera was positioned in the actual Disney Plus, the one that we saw, you could see him in the background. He was, feeling the vibes of the scene, but then he looks up and he has this just distraught, sad look on his face. And then you see him do this. He goes,
like, I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, like he's aware of his responsibility and the fact that he was a slave owner and how distraught that makes him.
That's cool.
And I was like, whoa, I didn't even catch that. And that is just a little sliver of some of the things that you can catch if you go back and like rewatch or you listen to some of this extra content.
Okay, so I got to listen to the soundtrack a couple of times.
Yeah.
And then I'll go back and watch it.
Absolutely. So that's some of the stuff that really fascinates me with how just the entire show, the entire production was brought together. It's, if we were to look at this, if we were to to actually give it ratings in terms of when we rate it at this point, I would say
I forgot we used to rate movies.
Well, yeah, that's back when we
used to rate movies and
back when we did movie reviews. Which will come back again at some point, I'm sure. Someday, maybe. I would say rating it based on the actual theatrical, not the actual stage production, but how it was presented.
Mm-hmm.
It was supposed to be a movie theater run, a theatrical run in the theaters, because that's where theatrical runs are. And
makes sense.
Sure. I think going based off of that, I would definitely we're doing it out of What were we rating?
I didn't know we were actually gonna do a full-on rating of this movie.
It's a
during
review.
This.
We're doing a review.
Oh,
Come on now.
okay.
Were we doing it out of? Did we move up to 10 or?
I think we moved up to 10.
I think we moved up to 10. Yeah, we're gonna do it out of 10 because it's been forever since we've done a movie. What was the last one? Bloodshot. Good lord.
Bloodshot. Wow.
Oof. Big oof. That's a yikes for me, dog.
Let's be honest though, we saved a lot of money by not going to the movie theater. So these are new
Sure.
microphones.
Yeah. Patreon stream ups. Anyway. I would say like just the way it was produced and how it was presented. Because the other thing I liked about it also is that there was the audience there. They gave you the bow at the end. They gave you like the introduction with King George talking about silencing your cell phones. They gave you the full production. Plus they added in the actual like cinema quality angles and shots and stuff that you don't normally get. I would give this a solid 8.5 out of 10.
Dang it. The thing is I like the production of it. It's just I just wasn't a fan of like I guess the story.
It just didn't strike your chord or whatever. The thing is, I think this really is something that once you revisit, you can actually come back and probably your score will go up on it.
Very likely, because there's been a huge amount of movies. The first time I watched them, I was like, couldn't stand it.
Yeah.
And then I came back to it. I was like, okay, I like this. Like I know the one off the top of my head that I was like that for me was Big Lebowski. Just could not, couldn't stand that movie the first time I watched it. I was like, I don't get what this is. And then I don't know if I watched it drunk or in any other kind of inebriated. At some point I watched it, I was like, whoa. The other one that I have a hard time is the Fear and Loathing. I can't make it through that movie. And that's probably one I definitely need to be some form of inebriated on.
Well, that's kind of where I was with La La Land, though, because the first time I saw La La Land, I felt a little disappointed in it.
I still feel disappointed in it.
Yeah, but the second time I saw it, I absolutely fell in love with that movie, and now I literally claim it as my favorite movie.
And now you could potentially be a Schmoedown champion of
Right.
La La Land.
I've done well in one quiz on it so far, so.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like, if I was to give a number to it, the problem with my number is if and when I do revisit this, it's gonna be probably different, and I'll probably have a different perspective on it.
Your issue at this point, though, is going to be more with like just the general theatrical stage production of it, rather than how the movie was presented.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'll probably go like say a 5. I'll keep it nice and neutral.
A solid 5 with room to grow.
I expect that to grow if and when I ever revisit this. I know if you look at my here's the thing, spoilers. If you had looked at my Letterboxd account, I rated this pretty low. I think I went like 2.5 stars, and that was just based purely off of like acknowledging how good the music was written and acknowledging the production value put into it and the acting and stuff.
That's cutthroat, man.
I know.
That's a little too
especially
cutthroat.
when here's the
You
thing.
can dislike it, but it does not deserve that.
When you look at Letterboxd, when you pull up a specific movie on Letterboxd,
That's out of 5, though.
it shows you one, it's out of 5 stars.
That,
But it also shows you how most people have voted on it, like where's the voting in like a bar graph or whatever. And I'm seeing like all of the bar is at like 4, 4.5, 5, and I'm like, crap.
I done missed something about this one.
Well, you know what? Maybe I'm the broken one here.
Oh, I've been saying that for how old are you now?
Oh, shut up.
Anyway,
we're trying to keep from cussing on this channel.
Yeah, I very much enjoyed Hamilton. He will enjoy Hamilton at some point.
Maybe.
We'll adopt you into the cult later. It is available on Disney Plus right now. If you, for some reason, haven't heard, you're living under a rock of some sort.
The bird. The bird is the word.
Yeah.
I said the bird.
Hamilton is the word. Hop on Disney Plus. Give it a watch. Make it the next thing on your list to check out, because it is definitely worth a viewing or a few.
Please watch it, and then let me know if you're in like the pool with me. That like
that pool is very shallow.
It is. In the shallow.
Stop.
This became a very musical episode, you know.
Not every word
Which
that
makes
comes
sense.
out of one of our mouths needs to be turned into a song.
You know, that would actually be pretty funny.
No, it wouldn't.
We should do that one
It
night.
would be awful, and we would get a 0 rating on Apple Podcasts. We are available on podcasts now, by the way, if you haven't heard. I did spend this entire last weekend uploading every single prior episode of this show onto podcast. This is the first one where we're officially mentioning it, so give us a rating and review on the Apple Podcasts. We will probably be dropping some sponsor read-alongs or whatever I called them before on this channel as soon as I figure out how sponsorship deals work with podcasts.
And I cleaned my room this past week, so make sure you drop a thumbs up on this video.
Drop a thumbs up. Yeah, give it a like for him getting off his butt and actually doing something.
We got 7 people watching right now and 11 thumbs up. So make sure you hit that thumbs up if you haven't.
So Saudi says Hamilton is an onion. That's all she'll say. Layers are endless. Tyler says, but cakes have layers too.
I feel like we're just quoting Shrek at this point.
That is true. I believe ogres are like parfaits.
Parfaits. Parfaits have layers.
Parfaits have
Everybody likes parfaits.
layers. Yeah.
And in the morning, I'm making waffles.
Right. So that's our review of Hamilton. We're actually going to be getting into some of the Schmoedown talk now. So if you guys, after Schmoedown talk, if you have any questions, anything you want to ask us something about Hamilton, kind of a different perspective we didn't get across in our review here, or you want to ask us some more about like some Jason Momoa's Frosty, ridiculous, or
my snowman,
or anything about the Schmoedown talk that we're about to get into. Streamlabs. We would very much welcome it as a Streamlab. Just drop it in there, however much you want to drop in. It's perfectly fine with us. But we did get these new microphones. They did cost a pretty penny, so we're trying to recuperate some of those funds.
They did not cost any ugly pennies. They only costed pretty pennies.
Only pretty pennies, and there's very few of those in production.
Apparently, there's a coin shortage, and I didn't even know what this is.
Yeah.
This is not made like headlines like USA Today or CNN.
No, I only saw the sign at the grocery store saying, "Please pay with your card. There's a coin shortage."
I'm like, why is there a coin shortage? Who's like first it was the paper towel and toilet paper. Now it's the coins. Why are we hoarding coins?
I don't know. Anyway, leave a question up at Streamlabs, and we'll get to it after the Schmoedown
Those
talk.
darn Coinstar machines. I guarantee it.
Maybe.
Okay.
You should go to my bank. We do it. They do it for free at my bank.
Oh,
Anyway.
nice.
Anyway, so let's get into that Schmoedown talk. What what we're gonna do here is we're gonna break down the matches that happened this last week, kind of preview our thoughts on the finals for the Star Wars match coming up this week, and then a couple of the announcements that
Well, let's start with the inner geekdom.
a couple of the announcements that Schmoedown creator Christian Harloff dropped today. Why did you interrupt me?
I don't know.
Jeez.
Felt like it.
Let's start with Inner Geekdom.
It's the way we talk.
Let's start with Inner Geekdom.
So at the beginning of last week, we have been blessed with the Greg Alba versus Mike Kalinowski.
Ooh.
Love Greg Alba, fellow YouTuber.
Mm-hmm. Over on the Real Rejects.
Almost exactly our peer right there.
Give or take a lot of things.
But Kalinowski definitely had a good showing, given his return back to IG.
Yeah.
Could have been a little bit better.
That's the biggest thing is now we're looking at a Kalinowski that hasn't played in Inner Geekdom for about half a year.
Yeah.
Last time he played is Spectacular when he lost the belt to Smets, which that was a very unfortunate showing for him.
Mm-hmm.
And he's even said like he just wasn't on the game that day.
And it happens.
Yeah, it does happen. I mean, this is just the way the Schmoedown works sometimes. But you look at him coming back. Here's the thing: he was the heavy favored to win that match because you got Greg Alba who already played one match in Inner Geekdom, but this was still his essential debut into the Inner Geekdom.
Yeah,
and so he took Kalinowski pretty much to that 5-point question, which you make the arguments whether or not Kalinowski should have been taken to the 5-point question by Greg Alba, but I would make the argument that Greg Alba just had a really good showing. He had a really good showing, and Kalinowski missed a couple of the questions that he probably otherwise would have gotten right if he hadn't had such a long gap in playing in the Inner Geekdom.
yeah. The thing is, and something I like pointing out, because I'm constantly hearing differing opinions. I know a lot of people are saying, like, a win is a win. It doesn't matter if you win by 1 point or if you win by 20. You win.
That's true.
I think the thing is, especially when you're playing a game that's based off of knowledge and a little bit of strategy, yes, that when you're able to take a game like this, where we almost thought it was going to be kind of like a blowout, just that Kalinowski is typically that good at IG, that when you take something like this and you get a person who, like in Greg Alba's point, he was able to take Kalinowski essentially to the distance, given Rocky speech.
That's not an inner geekdom.
That's boxing,
That's
whatever.
not a
It's a
movie.
boxing term overall, but
What are you doing?
Rocky is where pretty much everyone like, oh, okay, that's what the distance means.
Yeah.
Taking someone that far, that's fantastic. Like, that has to be just about as respected as the fact that the other person won. Yeah, so Alba didn't win that, but look how far he got on that. That's insane.
Yeah.
I know, like, the probably the only big one I've really heard the Schmoedown make reference to is Rachel Silvestrini went the distance with John Roca. And that's one where, like, dude, like, Rachel Silvestrini had this year gone exactly how it was supposed to go, and it still could. We got the singles championship coming up,
And she is in that.
and she is confirmed to be in that,
in the tournament, yeah.
and rightly so. Should this still go that direction, she has the ability to compete on par with people like Roca, Riley, Merle.
Yeah.
She could potentially get up that high.
This is supposed to be her year
Yeah.
before pandemic and stuff.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah,
Could be.
going that far when technically, by all odds, you're not supposed to,
Yeah.
that is, you.
Well-
I feel like you might as well have just won the game yourself.
The other strong one was while Smets was making his run to the belt for Energetum, he did face Chandru. And Chandru took him right. He absolutely had to answer the question, otherwise he would have lost. And it was like the stressful, got to make sure you answer the right question there. And so, like, Chandru has already gone the distance with Smets.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk more about Chandru versus Smets here in a little bit, but you know, these matches are what really are just the best in Schmoedown. It's not so much did everybody in the match throw a perfect game. Those are good too in their own right, but it's the one where it comes down to this person has to answer their last question, and you don't know. Let's say they answer it. Did they answer it right? Did they answer it wrong? Is it a question that we the audience don't necessarily know? And so it's one of those, like, that's what I think makes the great games. It's because you're left guessing, and your winner, we have no idea.
Yeah.
And in that moment,
Unless you watch Harry Potter, then you
Yeah.
probably know.
right, in that moment, and your winner could have been Greg Alba, and for Greg Alba to win over Mike Kalinowski
Would have been awesome.
would have been incredibly great television.
Yeah.
Alas, the thing with the Schmoedown is that nothing in terms of actual competition and gameplay is scripted. So a situation like that's not necessarily going to happen unless
I can attest to that.
unless your names are Dan Merle and Andrew Guy. In which case, then the unthinkable does happen.
Yeah.
What other Inner Geekdom happened this week?
So we got Robert Parker versus Ben Goddard. It's another one of those that we kind of went into this like, okay, yeah, we know who's gonna win. And again, for all intents and purposes, I would love to see Robert Parker versus Kalinowski. Because just based off of these two matches that we've gotten this week, I would say Robert Parker's probably got the edge. And it's probably not even an edge. It's probably an entire freaking cliff at this point. Like,
A whole coastline.
a whole coastline there. Let's just call it the California coastline there. But again, kind of the same thing. Goddard actually did pretty decent. He was able to steal a question from Robert Parker. There was a question that Robert Parker did not know. Guarantee that Robert Parker's watching the 1966 Batman movie.
You're talking about Rocky, and that's where the quote, "The Russian bleeds."
Yeah.
is coming from here, and that was kind of the deal that they had in that match is the Russian blood,
And Penguins had his purple.
and Penguins had his purple. Anyway,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, if you want to dive into that was silly, but I understand the frustration that Goddard had at that point. Just because you're sitting there, you're in your head, you're trying to think of every single thing you could do to pull that answer.
because you know what happens if you beat Parker, and Parker has been like the most hyped rookie coming into
Yeah.
the season.
I understand for Ben Goddard, that was a very clutch game for him.
Yeah.
You want to have full attention going on. Now, I wouldn't say like during the one game I played when I was trying to think of answers and stuff, I wasn't fully paying attention to what Mark and Clark were saying at the desk during that. And I believe you do it too, that when we're trying to answer questions, you're trying to pull from different angles to arrive at that question. I know when I do
Processes of elimination sometimes.
kind of, but like when I get a question of like who played such and such, I
Easy
can't
for
say
you
that.
to say.
Who plays such and such in this movie? I'll know who it is. I can think of I can see the person's face. I just can't pull the name sometimes. So what my brain starts doing is I start thinking of other movies that person was in. And I'm trying to picture, like, are any of these movies more known for that person's name being attached to it? So, like, say, who plays John Spartan in Demolition Man? If I couldn't pull Stallone, I'm almost guarantee I'm pulling, like, trying to think of Rocky and Rambo. I know it's Stallone. I just, for some reason, I might not be able to pull his name.
It's easy to see an actor's face while you not necessarily are able to pull their name.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so that, I see that, I'm like, okay, I also know that he was in Rocky and the Rambo movies.
Yep.
Rocky, Rambo, who was it? Stallone, Sylvester Stallone, got it.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I do when trying to recall it. If you're sitting there making, like, bird call sounds or whatever, that's very disruptive to a person's potential, like, brainwave length trying to think of answers.
Especially if you're in Goddard's position or you're in like other competitors' positions, which at that point, Ellis is pretty much always at the desk. So you're used to the normal banter that Ellis gives, which is typically just regular jokes.
Yeah.
You're not expecting a loud to
I never am.
So that's complete. So at that point, yeah, that is completely distracting. So yeah, I mean, you do understand why in that moment Goddard was a little frustrated. Now, you look at him since then, he's rolling with the jokes, and all of the jokes so far have been pretty funny, and he's rolling with every single one of them. He just doesn't care anymore. He's cool with it. Like I'm watching SE in live, and people are sending in the Schmoebots going "Caw, caw," and he's like,
oh, God.
"It's a good one,
People.
guys. It's hilarious, and it's pretty good." He's being a very good sport about it, but you do have to give him credit in that moment. It is kind of distracting when he's trying to pull it in such a clutch game where if he wins, he's the guy that dethrones the rookie sensation that everyone's been so hyped about.
Yeah.
That being said, the rookie sensation that everyone's so hyped about is the one who won the match.
Yeah.
So you have Kaiser in the dungeon who is still looking pretty good. Having the foresight to essentially pick up Robert Parker. It was his second pick in the whole draft. Obviously,
Something
he had to
like
pick
that.
Smets first, but that's it's insane. But I mean, look at the situation. I don't know if he had the thought like, hey, if there just happens to be an Inner Geekdom tournament, we're gonna run the table here. But I mean, that is the situation you have. Of course, if you have a belted champion in a division, you want other people who can fill in the spots for like tournaments and regular gameplay, just so your faction can earn the points while your belted champion waits for their match. But yeah, you look at this match. It was supposed to be Goddard that lost. Parker was supposed to win. That is what everyone was saying going into it, which was funny because at that point Goddard had not had a loss on his record in any main division play.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, you look at the way Robert Parker's played. You know, you look at how he's played in, say, the Lord of the Rings exhibition, how he played in his first match, how he's played in the fan leagues, and he was the favored there. But the fact that Ben was behind so much, and then in that third round, no, you have to beat me in order to win. You don't get to just TKO me or KO me. You actually have to answer questions in order to beat me here. That, I think, is a great showing when you're up against the ropes.
Yeah.
So that was definitely a good match for sure. But
and then we had the Star Wars match.
speaking of good matches,
Laura Kelly versus Ace Cabrera. Andres Ace Cabrera.
now this one we obviously touched a little bit more on in our actual reaction to it. I mean, we do reactions to everything, but we did the actual live stream reaction of it because it's on Twitch.
And we will be doing a live stream reaction to the Schmoedown Star Wars. I guess it's the finale.
The finals. Yeah.
The final tomorrow night.
Yeah.
That's going to be good. We'll probably talk more about that here in a little bit.
At this moment, it's going to be at 9:30 Central Time. So that's,
Yes.
I believe, when we're going to be going live tomorrow with our reaction to the finals. The big story here on this one, though, is that once again, you have Andres Cabrera, you have Ace, who's been rising up the ranks in the Star Wars division, coming from a place where, one, he was a play-in match, so he wasn't even supposed to be here today. Two, it wasn't even certain that he was actually going to be doing Star Wars for Swag. The Swag needed a Star Wars player, and it's kind of like, from what it sounded like behind the scenes, he was probably game from the start. But what it appeared to be from the outside was a begrudging, yeah, I guess I'll be the Star Wars guy.
It's like Randy Quaid in Independence Day. Yeah, I pilot. Yeah, I ain't Star Wars.
Yeah, exactly. I guess I'll do it.
I'm pilot.
I'll do it. That's what it seemed like from the outside.
Which
now,
is turning out to be him being Randy Quaid at the end of that.
Andy Quaid.
Randy Quaid at the end of that, because he keeps winning all these, and he's like, you know what? Up yours.
Andy Quaid was a quiet man, not really. He finally was able to escape when he flew up that alien spaceship. And
that alien bunghole.
he said, "Get busy living or get busy, boys. I'm
back."
That was a really stupid tangent we just went on.
But I'm proud of it.
Be proud of better things. Anyway.
Y'all just witnessed the height of this channel.
Why do we have a channel? Anyway. This one was great, though, and, you know, there's only so much time we can spend on it, again, because we talked about it in a reaction, but...
Because we got other things to talk about.
We got other things to talk about, too. Laura Kelly missed one question.
Jeez.
She ate, and that's the thing when it comes down to it, because she was the one that people were favoring going into that match.
Because she's already played.
Because she's already played Alex Damon. Yeah, exactly. And I don't think it's, Swag and Ace keep saying that, you know, people are doubting me, people are sleeping on them, whatever, what have you. But the thing of it is that I don't know, because you look at how stacked the competition is in the Star Wars division. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's so much that people are like doubting Ace as much as people are just expecting the ones who are heavily favored to be the ones to win.
Well, the better way of saying that is like, I'm not sleeping on Ace. I don't know who he is. Look at everyone else, pretty much, for the most part, who's in the Star Wars tournament.
Yeah,
we know them. We've seen them compete before. We knew where they came from. We know what they know.
Given that he was a rookie this year, but I mean, so is Sean Sullivan. So that was kind of the same standpoint with Sean, is that the general audience didn't know who he was before his match with Adam Witt.
I was like, I'm not sleeping on anyone. I'm making essentially right decisions in going with who I know and knowing what they know.
You're doing one of those, well, here's where technically the smart money is. Now, the thing about playing the odds is that you can put the smart money where you think the smart money should be. That doesn't mean in the Schmoedown that your smart money is actually going to end up being smart.
And I'm completely okay with that, because that's what, again, makes great TV.
Yeah, what that ends up having is you end up having the Cinderella story of Ace beating Laura Clark. That's not right. Laura Kelly.
Who's Laura Clark?
Laura Clark is somebody that I knew. It was a friend from back in.
I thought you were mixing like Laura Kelly and Clark Wolf. She's the one that likes the scary Star Wars movies.
Yeah. Anyway. So there's that. That's a lore I just happen to know. back in the day. Anyway, Laura Kelly is
She just got a free shout out too.
something like that. She'll never watch this. Laura Kelly was supposed to win that match, though. I mean, you had her you see the promos that she's been putting out. I feel like I've said this before. I'm starting to believe that she's actually the one that taught Shannon how to do promos at this point.
Almost.
That's the way it feels. Like, she is just a natural at these heel promos. But man, did Ace come in and just get the job done. And that's the thing. That's why people were betting on Kelly, is because they said it. Ace had to throw a perfect game in order to beat her.
Yeah.
So that leads us to what do we expect is going to happen in these finals tomorrow, where you have Demolanta, who threw a perfect game and had great strategy against Scrimshaw. And now you have Ace, who threw a perfect game against Laura Kelly. And when he had to answer that 5-pointer, that's ridiculous. Like, what is the code or whatever for the vehicle when they were on Canto Bite, or what, the parking violation?
Oh yeah, up, down, left, right, A, B, start.
Yeah, he just threw out the Konami code just like that.
That wasn't the real one. I forgot it. But
they talk about
close.
this, but you go back into the match and you look at his face when Christian asked that question, and he was like, "Oh yeah, it's this." No hesitation. And then before Christian said Andrew winner, he was like, "Got it. I win. Nailed it." And Christian's like, "And your winner's Ace." Okay. And he's like, "Drip, drip, swag. Got it."
Which is pretty close to the Smets doing the whole, like, Dwalin, give me Kalinowski, and then just storming off stage. You're like, all right, well, I guess Smets won.
I believe Dwalin is the answer. Haven't even heard Christian say it yet, but I believe Dwalin is the answer. I'm sold.
Here's the thing. I would like to have that kind of confidence in, like, anything I do in life. Like, I just feel like I would feel so good. And
Now, here's the thing. Side note real quick.
I'm good at sleeping.
For me, having gone back and watched the Hobbit movies, I hear that question, and I'm like, oh, yeah, it's definitely Dwalin. The question is, which one of the dwarves showed up to Bilbo's house first? It was Dwalin. Having gone back and watched the Hobbit movies, very easy. It's easy to know that.
So you're watching it, and like the Bilbo's at home, and all of a sudden you hear a knock, and like open the door, and it's Dwalin. And you're like, cool, give me Kalinowski.
Yeah, essentially.
Like every time that door opens and you see Dwalin, you're like, Kalinowski's coming.
Which, I mean, Hector, I believe, had that question first, and then Smet stole it from him and won the game.
Yeah.
So that's I don't know if that means Hector just didn't watch the first Hobbit movie. I don't know. I don't know what it means.
That's fine. I haven't watched the first Hobbit movie.
It's true. I mean, there are just some movies that you just miss.
Or just have chosen not to watch yet.
Chosen not to see yet. Yeah, that's fine. But, I mean, that's kind of the situation that we're looking at. I mean, now, you're looking at next week. You have Ace versus Andrew Demolanta. And I honestly have no idea how that match is going to come out.
We will talk more about this tomorrow night when we do our live reaction, 9:30 p.m. Central Time.
But for now, who do you think is going to win that one?
No freaking clue.
Two guys who both perform well. I want to give the edge to Demolanta because I think that his anger is going to push him a little bit further than what Ace has been using to win, which is people's doubt.
Apparently, according to Winston, since we've been sleeping on Ace this whole time, we're not allowed to choose him. We have to go for Demolanta.
They don't want us, so...
Yeah, they don't want us, which, I mean, I understand that point of view.
And here's the thing. It's fair. Honestly, I was going to pick Demolanta in this match anyway, even with...
Booyah.
Even if it was Laura Kelly, I was going to pick Demolanta. I just picked Demolanta to win the whole tournament at this point.
Who's dripping now?
So dumb. Here's the thing. I love a Winston and very much respect a Winston, so in this regard, I will respect his wishes and choose Demolanta and not his guy.
Thanks, Winston. We were going to do that anyways.
But that's not to say that there's not a world where Ace doesn't win this match tomorrow.
Oh, absolutely.
I think it's a very strong possibility.
And here's the thing. I still would love it.
And it would still be fantastic TV because, I mean, you're looking at a situation where somebody who's a play-in match, who, again, wasn't supposed to be here today, is the one who's going to face Alex Damon at Spectacular.
So is this Is this how real sports work? That like you try rooting for essentially your team,
Yeah.
and if they don't win, you're like, I'm still
Well-
okay with this. Is that how it really works in sports?
No.
Or are you like really throwing a fit if the person or team that you're going for doesn't win?
That's how it works in the Schmoedown when you just love everybody who competes in the Schmoedown.
Well, that's not fair.
That's
you
nice.
need to pick a point. You can't be divisive on it like that. That's not right.
Well, I mean, you have the who do you think is going to win. You have the who do you want to win. I think and want Demolanta to win, but there is still a part of me that says Ace's story, if he beats Demolanta, is a great story, and there's room for saying, yeah, Ace could win and should win.
All right, you people pleaser. What else is happening in the world of Schmoedown?
So that's the final. It's going to be up on Schmoedown's Twitch tomorrow. Watch it live and then come back and hang out with us later that night to watch our reaction to it. I expect it to be a really good match, and I expect a lot of people to want to see other people's reactions to it.
So if you're not there, we hold each and every single person on this planet responsible.
Anyway. So moving on, the last few things in the Schmoedown news. Again, guys, if you have any questions, drop it in the chat, drop it in the Streamlabs, let us know.
Because we are about done.
Because we are about to wrap it up here. This weird show that we've had tonight. So Christian just dropped a lot of the upcoming pay-per-view matches that are going to be going down prior to the singles tournament starting. We're about to get some good stuff post Star Wars tournament and towards the end of the Inner Geekdom tournament here. Some of these are not confirmed yet, so I mean, some of these dates could change. How they're presented, whatever, could change up until when they happen, I guess. But today he said on July 31st, the main event of that is going to be that Roca versus Irwin, which I believe that one is a number 1 contender to face Dan with the belt. So that one's gonna happen as a pay-per-view, and I believe that one's the main event. While the undercard is our first teams match back with teams again, given the pandemic rise and everything, which is impressive. I'm glad that they're able to pull teams in. But you're gonna have Final Exam versus Deep 13 as the undercard, which in any other world that would be a main event, because you look how well those two teams have played already with like I think they both have like one match already.
Wasn't Deep 13 the one that supposedly had like that whole like end of the world
Yeah, that we
thing that we did in our reaction? I wonder if that's going to come back to play when we do a reaction to that. Maybe.
I feel like it might be a little tone deaf at this point.
I feel like there's some funny things we could potentially do with that since we set that up already.
That's definitely true. Deep 13 is the reason why everyone is dealing with the virus right now. Anyway, that's not true.
Well, you have fun like facing Whitney after that one.
He'll go, ha ha ha.
Yeah, pretty much.
Anyway, following that, August 7th, the undercard for that one is going to be the Pride versus the winner of Deep 13 versus Final Exam. So that's where you get the Rachel Silvestrini Ben Goddard duo again facing down either Whitney and Alonzo or Paul and Lon.
Interesting.
So that also, it's going to be a great match. Because, I mean, once again, you're looking at the Den who we all thought their A-team was going to be Tom and Paul. But it turns out that it's actually Ben and Rachel.
Yeah.
And Tom and Paul have kind of slipped to that B position at this point. So that's fascinating. The main event of that one, we're finally going to get that title match between Smets and Chandru.
Yes.
That's been a long time coming because, again, you're looking at a situation where Smets hasn't played since Spectacular.
Mm-hmm.
Chandru hasn't played since earlier this year. So, is Smets going to face a ring rust of sorts, having not played for over half a year now? Don't know. I mean, it didn't really affect Kalinowski, maybe to some degree, but he still won his match. And we know Smets is a top-tier player.
We also know Smets is really good at studying and
he's been keeping up while in quarantine.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So
I mean, it's going to be a good match. I think it's going to come down to it again. I mean, you looked at the fact that Chandru almost beat Smets before. Now, Smets has definitely done a lot more studying since then, and I believe so has Chandru. So I think it's going to be another one where it just comes down to maybe the last question again. And we'll just have to see. I I think Smets defends. We all expect him to defend. I think a lot of people expect him to defend, but Chandru at this point has proved himself formidable. So
Yep.
we will see what happens there. August 14th, you have the undercard is going to be Shazam versus Pride or Final Exam or Deep 13, whoever ends up winning those 3 matches. So again, you got Bibiani and the kid coming back, Brendan Meyer coming back to face. And it's just nonstop great matches and teams, and we haven't even gotten into I don't even believe this is getting in. No, it's not. It's not even getting into a teams tournament yet. So this is the way our teams matches are looking prior to a team tournament.
I don't want to be in a team tournament.
I don't want to be in a team tournament right now.
Can we wait and not play until next year? That'd be swell
For us, at least. We shall see.
Although, I mean, we're in Texas. This is a good time to take advantage of the fact that we have to be playing virtually anyways.
Yeah.
And also the fact that we're both in the same apartment.
Hey, probably not going to happen. Moving
Yeah.
on. The main
Shucks.
shucks. It's fine. There's a lot of people who need to get matches right now, so
Yeah.
that is the way it is.
Most definitely. I want to see this return back to a normal year.
To whatever degree.
Yeah.
Main event of that August 14th is going to be the title match between Dan and Roca or Irwin, whoever wins that number 1 contendership. So, I mean, either one of those is, again, I mean, you're looking at live event quality matches here that we're going to be getting in a throwdown-esque pay-per-view style event. So that's great stuff. Moving into August 20th is the last one that Christian kind of announced today. Is the I believe the undercard, he said, is Who's the Boss versus the winner of the August 14th number 1 contender. So Shazam or Pride or Final Exam or Deep 13, whoever ends up winning that little. It's not a tournament, but it feels like a mini tournament almost.
Yeah.
It's going to be Who's the Boss versus them for, I believe that one is a number 1 contender match. So that's going to be interesting because the main event of that one is the Founding Fathers versus Corruption. Once again, we haven't seen them face off since Orlando when I believe Founding Fathers took the belts.
Yeah,
so,
and saved themselves from having to break up.
Yeah. So that's going to be a good one. That's going to be a fascinating one to keep your eyes on because whoever wins that is going to essentially be going up against Who's the Boss or the other ones that I mentioned. So we got some really good stuff, and what that means basically is if you are not part of the Schmoedown Patreon, you're going to want to hop on that $10 tier for them right now because you'll get all of those matches, and that's it. You'll get all of those matches. You don't have to pay for each one individually at this point.
Yeah.
And it's going to be worth it because that's a lot of like live event quality matches that we'll be getting.
Like now, and you don't have to wait.
Yeah, that's essentially you would be getting normally like maybe one of these matches a month under like a pay-per-view style event, but now you're getting 4 both main event and undercards over the course of the next month and a half. If that's not worth the $10 for the Patreon tier, then you need to realign what you think a $10 Patreon tier for them is worth. So it's going to be some good stuff. We would highly recommend jumping on their Patreon on that $10 tier just to get those matches early instead of having to wait however long for them to drop on YouTube and possibly be spoiled going into the singles tournament depending on how scheduling works.
Yeah. So that being said, do y'all have any questions? Drop some questions in real quick if you want to say anything. There's no questions so far, so you could be asking us like what's our favorite color, and we'll probably answer that here.
The other thing I wanted to mention, I forgot. Let's mention that real quick. Is that
we're on podcasts?
No, in terms of we are, but in terms of the Inner Geekdom matchups coming up, we have Chance Ellison versus Robert Parker, which just announced today is going to be at the Skybound Expo, which Christian is, I believe, hosting at least a panel of. If I got my information correct on there, I believe he's hosting just a panel on it, but. Either way, that is once again showing what a fantastic partnership the Schmoedown with Skybound is. Skybound being owned by, I believe, by Robert Kirkman, who did The Walking Dead and all those things.
Skybound's been mostly affiliated with like comic books, doing The Walking Dead and a couple of others.
And even they're even part of the TV show, I believe.
Yeah. So yeah, this is a fantastic partnership, and I feel like this is one that I wouldn't have thought of being a partner with the Schmoedown, but the more I think about it, like, man, this is just so right.
It just fits so nicely.
It does.
Especially when you see things like this, like in the middle of the pandemic, they're coming out and going like, hey, we're going to do this online expo, and the Schmoedown's going to be heavily featured. An entire match is going to be present at the expo. Yeah. On this online expo. So
I would have liked to have seen what they would have done had there not been a pandemic, but that's not their fault. So
yeah, that would have been really fascinating to see, because I think at that point, if they were actually hosting a live expo of some sort, you get a live event match. You get a live event match there, which would have been really fascinating too, especially if it ended up staying the same, like if they still did an Air Geekdom tournament and you still got Chance Ellison versus Robert Parker. Either way, it's going to be a great match. It's going to be a good one to check out with the backdrop of that expo happening too, just to support the partnership of Schmoedown and Skybound. Absolutely worth the time and attention for.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's all the Schmoedown news we wanted to cover there.
Yeah, doesn't look like we got any more questions, so we're probably going to go ahead and end this episode tonight.
Wrap it up.
Was that from Hamilton as well?
It's not.
Oh,
but
okay.
It feels like it's along the same course. So,
oh, okay. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up. As you were so eloquently putting, I'm tired. It's been a long night. It's been all kinds of fun doing this show with the new audio. Hopefully everything else is more perfected by next week. So yeah,
we've got some work to do on this one tonight.
Trying to get this up on the podcast. I don't want to sound like I'm complaining, but I like it because every time we have to put in the work, just makes the show just a little bit better.
Just a little bit,
and I'm all for that. So
yeah. So I mean, once again, for those of you guys who didn't hear throughout this entire thing, we are now on podcasts. I've been able to get all the episodes uploaded onto Anchor. So we got Anchor, we've got Spotify, we've got Apple Podcasts. Just search Cinefanatics. You'll see all our tagline episodes. Go ahead and give us the rate and review on all different podcast sources that you rate and review on. I believe mostly Apple, but that'll be a big support to us as we start seeking out sponsorship deals and everything for the show.
Yeah.
So.
Make sure you follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Cinefanatics MLP. There's also our individual Twitter, Instagrams, like down here below. So you can follow us individually on there. And there's our Patreon up here, patreon.com/Cinefanatics. Hop on the tier that's right. We got a movie watch-along. Woo!
You want me to take over? You seem
I'm good.
You seem to be getting choked up.
It's just movie watch-alongs, man, so much. We got a movie watch-along that's going to be coming up here in a couple of weeks, probably. We are undecided on what movie. If you got a suggestion, throw it in. Hop on that Patreon, throw in a movie suggestion.
We'll probably also create a poll of
potentially
a series of movies to pick from, so that might make it a little bit easier too. But for sure. Anywhere that you see us talking about watch-alongs on the Patreon, just drop a suggestion for anything you'd like to see on there, and we'll see if we can fit it into that poll as well. That way, you can choose your own suggestion.
Yeah, like a choose-your-own adventure book.
Choose
your own suggestion.
Choose your own Cinefanatics watch-along.
Anyways, that's gonna do it for this week, and also 9:30 p.m. Central Time on this very channel. We will see y'all tomorrow night.